This is Michelle. I'm going to talk about some of the trends in sampling, data collection, and types of research that we found. Most of the sampling we found was convenience sampling, and that was mainly due to the fact that researchers were working in schools and working with schools and students that they had access to. There was some purposeful sampling based on the socioeconomics of a school, the age group of students. They were looking at either high school or middle school, elementary school, and sampling according to those standards. We found quantitative research, qualitative research, and some quasi-experimental research, but no true experimental studies, and we'll explain why we think that is a little bit later on. The quantitative research used a lot of teacher and or student surveys, questionnaires, discipline referrals, behavioral data in order to gather data about how teacher-student relationships affect different aspects of students' lives. The qualitative research used both teacher and student formal and informal interviews, observations by the researchers, and we also found some mixed method studies that combined the two, that did some observations and informal interviews, and then also gathered academic data or discipline data and combined them. The TSRQ, or the Teacher-Student Relationship Questionnaire, was used often in a lot of the research as a measure for both teachers and students on relationships. The reason we think that pure experimental research was more difficult to find, and we didn't find any, was due to the ethical aspect of it. It would be really unethical to purposefully develop bad relationships with students, or to have one group of students instruct a teacher to build really good relationships, and have a teacher instructed to build really bad relationships. So to do that purposefully, we thought would be unethical, and probably why we haven't seen any studies like that. The missing pieces in the literature that we could see were more research on how administrators play a role in building teacher-student relationships. We know that they play a role in school climate as a whole, and school climate plays a role in teacher-student relationships. So taking a look at how that administrative piece affects those things, we thought would be a really good way to expand upon the research. Also adding a qualitative piece to a lot of the quantitative research. So rather than just seeing some of the surveys and questionnaires, also having the researchers' sort of third-person point of view and having interviews to get more specific about how students and teachers perceive the relationship. So those are all things that we thought would add to the research and be helpful in delving deeper into this topic.